You would think the purpose of our brain is to generate the ideas that would help us live in the best way possible. And we assume that it has our best interests at heart. So why do automatic negative thoughts come in and tell us things like, you're an imposter, your friends don't like you, and maybe even more horrible things? Our brain seems to take over and ruin our habit streaks when we know for a fact that we will feel terrible after. We've been through this cycle hundreds of times. Why does it feel like I'm fighting against myself when my body and my brain should have my best interests at heart? Let's go on a journey together through this conversation, and we'll discuss how to better understand Daniel Kahneman's thought systems, why these thoughts occur and how to find happiness instead, and an actionable exercise you can do after understanding the relationship dynamic we have with ourselves. After feeling like I was in a war with my mind, I wanted to understand it more, as the key to winning the battle is knowing your enemy, and in most cases, your greatest enemy is yourself. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "You yourself will always be your worst enemy you can encounter." Reading Daniel Kahneman's book on System 1 and 2 thinking teaches us about our psychological tendencies, but led me to being more confused because of the unfortunately bland presentation that he provides. While the insights I learned in the book taught me a lot about myself, there's another way to interpret this that makes a lot more sense. It would have made me realize why I kept holding myself back if I understood it like this from the start. I used these two rings to explain his elaborate framework. Let's briefly go over the way Kahneman describes the two systems, and then go through a more relatable way to understand them. System 1 is a fast and automatic way of thinking. It is purely based on intention and past experiences, but it helps us make quick decisions and judgments, whether they be good or bad. System 2 is our slow and deliberate way of thinking. It requires a complete conscious effort and is used for more complex tasks that require focused attention. System 2 thinking considers the future outcomes of present situations instead of giving into fleeting feelings. Let's rehumanize this concept, and instead of thinking in ones and twos, let's add some real characters to the mix. To summarize, my interpretation is that we have the mind of a child, a subconscious thought system 1, and the will of a parent, a conscious thought system 2. Let's review the diagram I shared before, and this will make a lot more sense now. Young children act quickly on emotional impulses based on the environment given. They make decisions based on their feelings in the moment. Parents, however, think slowly and deliberately about what they think is best for the child. It takes a lot of effort to help the child complete tasks they've never done before. And without the parent's guidance, the child cannot make decisions that would best benefit their own future. We have the mind of a child and the will of a parent. Our will determines our environment, and our environment determines our behavior. That means that these negative thoughts are really our inner child crying out because they don't like the environment that we're giving them. When I say environment, it could mean a plethora of things. The people that you hang out with, the people that you follow, what you choose to do in your habits during the day, and even the state of cleanliness in your room. All of these things stack and influence the behavior of your inner child. And now with this understanding, it's quite obvious that if we have all of these negative environmental cues, that our behavior will follow in the same direction. So if negative thoughts are a consequence of negative environments, that means positive thoughts are a consequence of positive environments. I use these two rings to embody this philosophy, to understand better the relationship that I have with myself. But it carries a deeper meaning of finding happiness when these two dynamics are put together. The reason why I chose a black and white ring is to represent the depiction of yin and yang. This black ring represents my inner child, and all of the past experiences and intuitions I've had up until now. If you look at the diagram that I provided, it starts off fuzzy and grey until it gets darker as we go towards the center. This represents the timeline of our lives. The further we look into our past memories, the more fuzzier they seem to us, but the present moment shows as vivid as the shade of black. And on the other side of the spectrum, it's reversed. This white ring represents the future. Here lies the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. The reason why it leans towards grey at the end is because it's very hard to truly visualize your best self, because you're not there yet, and you have no idea the mindset that you will have in the future. The further we cast out our predictions of what we may become, the fuzzier it seems to us. If you've been on self-development, you'll know that your past behaviors and experiences feel alien to you as you reflect back on them. But if we consider the best possible version of ourselves in this very moment, we're greeted with the clarity of pure white. Lao Tzu said, "If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. And if you are at peace, you are living in the present." Let's think about what happiness truly means to a child and a parent individually to find it within ourselves to understand this new relationship dynamic. Happiness for a child is when they can prove their capabilities to their parents. This reminds me of how proud I was to win cooking competitions in school so I could tell my parents about it. And happiness for a parent is seeing their child develop independence and confidence through tackling challenges. challenges. Think about how happy a parent is when they see their child learn to walk for the first time. As we grow up, holding on to the validation of our parents becomes unhealthy. But we can find happiness within ourselves with the same dynamic. So if we understand the outer edges of the symbol as the extreme past and the extreme future, what lies right in the center is happiness and flow. When we take the best version of our past self and we take the best version of our future self, connecting those two together is where we find peace. I use this idea to help me with all of the challenges that I face in life now, but I remember it counting the most when I got rid of my social media addiction. Do you remember the first time that you found the stove as a young child and you tried to turn it on? Your parents snatched you away. Your parents told you off and you have no idea what led you to being scolded. In the self-development space, YouTubers are basically masturbating over doing dopamine detoxes and monk mode. But this is exactly like snatching a child away from a dangerous and powerful tool. I knew I had a problem with my social media scrolling because I would spend about 6 hours a day there without trying to find anything in particular, except to try and find happiness in the lives of others instead of being able to generate it within my own life. I still needed the apps to message my friends and our accountability group and to grow my social media page. But the problem was I would get stuck in scrolling through reels for hours on end. You know those times where you see a notification for Instagram and what seems like 10 minutes is actually 3 hours on reels. Even though these apps carry a meticulous and malicious design, there are people in the world who make better choices. The problem doesn't lie within those hacks and those psychological tricks they use, but within ourselves. James Clear's habit loop provides the clarity we need to understand it. Cue, craving, response, and reward is the loop of how habits start and repeat themselves, whether they be detrimental or beneficial to us. You would think the cue in this case would be the notification, as I thought myself, but I realized my mistake. After I literally turned off all the notifications on my phone, this is what I learned. The cue is a state of mind of your inner child. You know there are certain situations where you don't let notifications distract you at all, when you're spending time with someone really special maybe. What I found from deleting my notifications was that I was still continuing to reach for my phone when I didn't have anything compelling me to do so. I only found myself doing this in times where I felt this kind of anxious emptiness. So the cue was actually my feeling of loneliness. The craving was my want to connect with someone. The response was me going on things like Instagram Reels or Stories, but the reward wasn't the connection as you would assume. After spending 3 hours on Instagram, I never felt a feeling of connection. I felt even emptier. The reward was actually being distracted from my cue of loneliness and my craving of connection. That's why the response and the reward would not lead me to feeling better. Here is the exercise and the main takeaway of this video that will help you with any problem or challenge that you face in your life. I did not come to this self-realization by myself though. These two rings helped me understand what my feelings were about. I mentioned the black ring represents my inner child, and the white ring represents my best future self. Let's name these characters Mikey and Hikari to better understand this conversation. Every time I realized I was reaching for my phone, I would hold my black ring and ask, just like a curious parent, why do you think we need our phone right now? The answer was because I was feeling lonely. Is there anyone specific we want to connect with? No. Then do we really feel lonely, or is it because we feel unfulfilled? I think that's it. Well, we haven't gone to the gym yet, and we both know that's the thing that makes us both the most fulfilled. But I'm so tired, I don't feel like doing the workout. Then will we at least do one set of one exercise, or are you that tired that you can't even do that? Of course not, that's too easy. Alright then, let's play our favorite playlist and go. I held my white ring as I made the best decision I could in the moment. Had so many times where Mikey would just automatically go and reach out for my phone, and I'd go through this process in my head in less than a minute. And every single time at the end, I would hold my white ring and make the best decision I could possibly make in that moment, as Hikari. Left affiliate links where you can buy these rings that come in a pack, but you can use any items that you attribute meaning to. I really hope you make use of this to build the relationship within yourself. I leave this question for you. What is the best possible decision that you can make in this very moment for the fulfillment of your inner child?